Welcome to Soul Searching Space, a space to remember who you truly are, who you came here to be, and what you came here to do. To be crystal clear, going from black and white thinking to full color HD, working from the inside out, reclaiming your power, waking up to your inherent wholeness, aligning soul, heart, mind, and body. Hello, and thank you for tuning in to another episode. We've explored the center and the centers within the center, and now we are returning to the center to put all of this into practice by being the observer. The centers within the center relate to the idea that there are three main components to human intelligence: the intelligence of the body associated with sensations, the intelligence of the mind associated with thoughts and cognitive functions, the intelligence of the heart associated with emotions and feelings. As we have explored, all centers within the center each bring different qualities for the realization of our essence. When these centers within the center are aligned, an intelligence that is greater than the sum of its individuated parts shines through. The soul, our essence, shines through. When balanced, we feel with the emotional center, we think with the mental center, and the body is regulated properly by the physical center. The body is free to do what it does, allowing us to operate in a balanced way. When the centers within the center are aligned, we are tapped into universal intelligence. We remember our true nature. We feel connected and grounded in ourselves and in the very center of being. We remember that intuition is a gateway to our most authentic self, to our greatest and highest potential. If we are out of center, we are caught in a loop of familiar and repetitive reactions, patterns, and behaviors of our ego identities, instead of being present to what is actually happening in and around us. It is presence and awareness alone that has the power to activate and harmonize the centers within the center. Usually, it's the ego consciousness that brings us out of center. When this happens, we must step back from identifying with our thoughts, going from the reactor to the observer. The way to consciously enter the center is to fully invest in observing and awakening to our inner reality. As long as we believe that our outer reality has power over our inner reality, we will stay dependent on it, hoping that it stays positive so that we can stay positive too. Only when we can understand that our inner reality is reflected in our outer reality can we fully grow up and master our inner world. Instead of working from the outside in, we work from the inside out. We first take care of what is going on within and then look to how the outside world is continuously giving us feedback of what is going on in our inner world. Ego is largely an artificial construct that uses the energy of the centers to sustain itself. It is both an expression of and a compensation for the imbalance of the centers. And the more we are identified with the structures of our ego, the more disconnected we will be from our true nature. As you may remember, the ego identifies closely with its self-image, and it's not very open to challenge its identity. From the center, however, there is no resistance to seeing the personality as it is, as the center is neutral and open. So how do we arrive at openness if our starting point is the ego, which is by nature resistant? Right now, a part of you is listening to this episode, thinking and processing and evaluating the information it's receiving. Now you have the option identifying with being the listener and the thinker, and that's what the ego generally does. But you also have another option. You can be the observer who witnessed the content of your mind, being the thinker, the listener, the experiencer. You direct your attention to the source of the mind itself, meaning you become the observer of the mind. It's from this position of the observer that processes like self-reflection and self-awareness don't have to be forced. They begin to unfold naturally through spontaneous insights. You begin to more closely observe your behavioral pattern because there is now more space between you and your behaviors, your thoughts, your feelings, your impulses and attitudes, your expressions, and more. This is the true key to cultivating self-awareness. From the center, we see more deeply into reality, both into our own nature, the nature of our personality, and a deeper understanding of others and the world too. To access higher awareness and begin feeling like ourselves again, the key is to strip away what we are not and to return to the center again and again. A common belief is that the ego is the enemy. It's not. Another common belief is also that to live in essence is to have left the personality entirely behind. This is not the case since both personality and essence, ego and essence, are integral parts of each other, two sides of the same coin, the whole self. We cannot live without form. Our soul must express itself through us, just as talents must be expressed in action if talent is to be developed. A dancing master does not master dancing to perfection so that the master no longer dances. Dancing is not avoided as evidence of having achieved perfection. On the contrary, mastery is expressed by losing the self in the dance. When something is unknown, the unconscious mind goes into worst case scenario as a way to protect. It predicts a way to protect its own consciousness. It's projecting worst case scenario from past experiences into the future because the unconscious thinks what is familiar is safe. It is known. Let me operate from this narrative. It's not always effective, but this is how we learn to cope with reality when our brain was not fully developed. But now we can hold loving space for it and reparent all our inner children and all our inner teenagers one by one, moment by moment. What we do is we enhance what's working and look at what's been getting in the way. It's normal that different blocks will come up. We just need to learn to move through it. As you were cultivating self-awareness, as we were going through the centers within the center, did you notice which one was your primary center? Which one was your secondary? And which one was more dominant? We need all the centers within the center to access the center. Let's reflect for a moment. Where do you notice yourself looping around? Where do you get stuck? Is the loop in your mind, your heart, or in your body? How did you notice? Which center is your primary center? Which center is your secondary center? And which center is sort of dormant? Which center do you need to engage with to bring balance? What is the missing piece, and how can you connect the dots? How can you bridge the connection of the centers within the center? I find that some people get stuck in their mind and they are avoiding their feelings. Others avoid feeling their feelings. They're stuck in their head analyzing their feelings. And others do all the things, keeping themselves occupied and numbing themselves, preventing themselves from either thinking with their mind or feeling with their heart. Then there are those who get lost in their feelings. They don't know how to move through them. Do you think about your feelings and don't fully allow them? Do you keep telling yourself these stories and keep yourself stuck in these stories and loop in them? If you're the kind of person who stays stuck in their head, you might need more somatic work or embodiment work. Maybe you haven't fully learned the art of allowing. Learn to take simple steps to learn to feel it. Some of the power of somatic work, embodiment work, is that you don't need to know the story to transform it, to help integrate that energy in your nervous system. Notice when your mental activity is interrupting what is happening on a sensational level. It's interrupting and getting in the way of the body's own wisdom. When you allow the sensation, it moves through. Your body is intelligent and it knows what to do with the energy. So when you're not mentally caught up in your own analysis of what's happening, it allows it to move through naturally. It does this on its own way. Thoughts create feelings, and then feelings create sensations in the body. And neuroscientists have found it only takes 90 seconds to feel an emotion in your body before it moves through. So if you're feeling a pure sensation, not a story of this is anxiety, but as a pure sensation, it starts moving through your nervous system. That's where I want you to make sure you feel empowered and understand how to do it, because if you're feeling something longer than 90 seconds, it means that you're looping in a story about it. If you're thinking or feeling something longer than 90 seconds, it means you're telling yourself a story, you're looping in the story, recreating it, and there's an easier, more effective way. Trust the body's wisdom and let it move through. The art of emotional mastery is about allowing the emotion to move through. And what happens is most people think about their emotion as a subtle way to avoid feeling them, but they don't realize that the body naturally knows how to digest and move through something. If you're not mentally interrupting the process and getting in the way. So don't mentally analyze it. The body is intelligent. It knows how to let the energy move through. Neuroscientists have found it only takes 90 seconds to feel a sensation, an emotion within the body without labeling it, and it passes. So let go of the need to analyze it. It's just 90 seconds. Be willing to test that out for yourself. Just trust and test it. If you're the kind of person who stays stuck in your feelings, you might need mindset work. It helps you to wake up to what is the thought that is creating the emotion. Because when you can question it at the root, it no longer keeps you indulging in it. You don't get lost in it. If you are stuck in a loop of keeping yourself busy, constantly doing, what are you preventing yourself from thinking or feeling? Do you need to master your mindset, or do you need emotional mastery? Some people are really locked in their mind. Other people get locked in their emotions. Others are locked in constantly doing. So some people need body-centered practices, and others need mindset work, and others need emotional mastery. We need all of them. So you really want to develop your toolkit so that you can meet yourself where you are. You want to have the tools to guide yourself through each of the centers, an integrated approach that works for you. The body is the unconscious. Learn to incorporate your body into your daily life. Most of us live from the head up, not really dropped in and feeling our full potential because of that. If we don't do some of this work to clear it, we create these unconscious habits and ways of being that really narrow our life and limit our potential. I find it useful to think of these centers within the center as doorways. The purpose of any true centering method is simply to open the door to access the potential within you. A daily combination of movement and mindfulness raises your energy levels, and you are more aligned, leaving you in an extremely powerful position to coexist and co-create. Balance your soul, heart, mind, and body. Without a balance, you may experience being out of alignment. Spend time doing things related to all these aspects of you. For your body, take care of it, have fun with it, enjoy it, use it, move it, exercise it, feed it well, rest it. For your mind, continuously feed it with knowledge, exercise it, think properly and deliberately, rest it. For your heart, connect and feel the sense of genuine connection with yourself and others. Allow to be touched and affected by your experiences. For your soul, your essence, your spirit, learn about it, experience it, exercise it. Be mindful with it, connect with it. And for all of them, listen to them and honor what they tell you and what they share with you, and love them and appreciate them. I don't think it's a coincidence there's 24 hours in a day. Divide it by 3 and balance your heart, mind, and body. All of this creates space for your soul, your spirit to come into alignment. If you find yourself in a loop, rest your mind on the breath. Drop into your heart space and remember and re-experience feelings of love and affection and gratitude. And when you do this with your attention on your heart, you go into a scientific, measurable state known as heart coherence. As you quiet your breath, it begins to grow deeper. By the time you're naturally breathing deeply, the energy of your breath is reaching your lower abdomen. And as a consequence of natural deep breathing, your mind will be calmer and you will have easier access to the center. Real mastery takes time. So I invite you to show up for developing yourself in whatever way feels right for you. The more you show up, the easier it gets and just becomes a natural integration and observation throughout your day. This is not a checklist. This is about a way of being with yourself, a way to show up for yourself. The key principle of centering is to lay the foundation for cultivating a centered state throughout the day. When we are aligned, soul, heart, mind, and body, we connect with our own feelings. We can identify what comes up, feel it, and move through it. Our response is authentic to each moment. And we are not stuck in the past reviewing old traumas and experiences and all kinds of things. We are in a healthy, committed relationship with ourselves, and we are able to show up fully as ourselves, as our most authentic, creative, expansive self. The key is you can trust yourself, and that is what you are learning. We can't trust something we haven't experienced unless we have enough experience of it. So the more you use the tools that connects you with your center, your true nature, your essence, the more you will realize that this is a way of life. And it gives you an opportunity to understand the higher concepts which cannot be explained and fully understood intellectually. They can only be experienced. The more you practice, the more progress you make. It's not something you do, it becomes who you are. Personal and spiritual growth always has two parts: insights and action, the being and the doing. So, did something resonate with you? And what are you going to be and do about it? Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your presence. I look forward to being with you again. I am sending you so much love. And until next time, may you remember that listen and silent are spelled with the same letters.